Part 1. The Akkadian Empire and its historical significance. The Akkadian Empire stands as one of the most significant and transformative civilizations in ancient world history, representing a pivotal moment in human development, organizational achievement, and imperial ambition. Established in Mesopotamia during the 3rd millennium BCE before Common Era, specifically around 2334 BCE according to the conventional chronology accepted by most scholars, the Akkadian Empire became the first truly great regional power to unite diverse peoples, cultures, and languages under a single centralized authority. The empire's rise under the legendary King Sargon of Akkad marked a revolutionary period in ancient governance, military organization, and cultural development that would influence countless civilizations for millennia. The Akkadian civilization was not merely a political and military force but also served as a remarkable center for cultural, artistic, and administrative advancement that shaped the future of human civilization. The integration of Akkadian and Sumerian cultures created a unique synthesis demonstrating how diverse peoples could be unified under strong leadership and effective administration. The legacy of the Akkadian Empire extends far beyond its relatively brief existence, as its administrative models, legal systems, military innovations, and cultural achievements became the foundation upon which subsequent Mesopotamian civilizations built their societies. The Akkadian period witnessed unprecedented achievements in military technology, bureaucratic organization, and cultural expression that would define standards for centuries. Understanding the Akkadian Empire provides invaluable insights into how complex societies organize themselves, how empires achieve territorial expansion, and how cultural synthesis can strengthen political unity. For modern scholars and historians, the Akkadian Empire represents an essential case study in imperial formation, collapse, and cultural influence that continues to inform our understanding of ancient history and human civilization. Part 2. Historical and geographic context. The emergence of Akkadian power. The Akkadian Empire emerged in Mesopotamia, the fertile land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, recognized as the cradle of civilization and birthplace of organized human society. This region possessed exceptional geographical advantages, making it ideal for the development of advanced civilizations and accumulation of wealth necessary for imperial expansion and maintenance of large populations. The fertile floodplains provided abundant agricultural resources that could sustain large populations and generate surplus production for trade and economic growth. By the early 3rd millennium BCE, the Sumerian civilization had already reached its height, with city-states functioning as major centers of commerce, culture, innovation, and intellectual achievement. The Sumerian cities such as Uruk, Lagash, and Uar had developed complex administrative systems, sophisticated legal codes, monumental architecture, and rich literary traditions representing the pinnacle of civilizational achievement at that time. However, as the Sumerian civilization consolidated its achievements and suffered from internal conflicts between competing city-states, a new force emerged from the north, the Akkadian people. The Akkadians were a Semitic people who gradually migrated into Mesopotamia, establishing themselves alongside Sumerians while bringing their own cultural traditions, religious beliefs, and social structures. Unlike Sumerians, known for independent city-states and localized governance, the Akkadians possessed a more unified cultural and political orientation advantageous in territorial expansion and imperial dominance. The name Akkad comes from the ancient city serving as the cultural and political heart of this remarkable civilization and as the administrative center for imperial authority. The city was strategically located north of Babylon in central Iraq, making it ideal for controlling trade routes and projecting imperial authority across Mesopotamia. The geographic position of Akkad at the crossroads of northern and southern Mesopotamia made it ideally suited to serve as the capital of a unified empire controlling the resources and military forces of the entire region. Part 3. Sargon of Akkad, from obscurity to imperial rule. Around 2370 BCE, a remarkable leader emerged from humble origins who would forever change human history through military genius, administrative innovation, and visionary leadership. Sargon of Akkad, whose accomplishments remain virtually unmatched in ancient history. Why? Sargon's rise to power is one of history's most compelling narratives, representing triumph of individual talent, determination, organizational genius, and strategic vision over established social hierarchies and powerful opposition. Born of humble origins without connection to any royal family, Sargon rose from obscurity to become one of history's greatest military commanders and transformative leaders. According to historical accounts preserved on clay tablets, Sargon served in the royal household, possibly as a gardener or cupbearer, before using his exceptional abilities to gain influence and eventually seize power from the reigning monarch. His early life demonstrates that exceptional talent and ambition can overcome any social disadvantage and that capable individuals can rise to great heights regardless of birth or social status. Upon establishing control of Akkad, Sargon recognized the opportunity to create something unprecedented, a unified empire combining Sumerian technological and cultural achievements with Akkadian organizational capabilities into a powerful synthesis. He assembled a standing professional army of approximately 5,000 soldiers, an unprecedented development in ancient warfare that fundamentally changed military power and organization. This army was not composed of conscripted citizens or seasonal warriors but trained soldiers receiving regular wages, consistent equipment, and serving under strict military discipline. Sargon equipped his soldiers with advanced bronze weapons and armor, providing significant technological advantages over enemies still using stone or bone weapons. He also pioneered innovative military tactics, including rapid deployment units, flanking maneuvers, coordinated siege warfare, and psychological warfare. With his disciplined military force, Sargon embarked on military campaigns resulting in Mesopotamia's conquest. From the Persian Gulf to Syria and Anatolia, his empire extended the furthest boundaries achieved by any ancient state. He declared himself king of the four quarters of the world, emphasizing his global dominance and unprecedented imperial achievement. Part 4. Administrative Innovation and Governance Structures. The Akkadian Empire's administrative structure represented revolutionary advancement in governmental organization, centralized control, and bureaucratic efficiency, establishing principles later empires would follow for centuries. Rather than allowing autonomous city-states to govern independently as Sumerians had done, Sargon established a highly centralized government with the king as supreme authority controlling military, religious, and political functions. The empire was divided into provinces, each governed by a royal representative answering directly to the king, ensuring no local power could challenge royal dominance. Revenue collection, military recruitment, and judicial matters were coordinated from the central government, creating efficient bureaucratic systems managing vast territories. The Akkadian administration maintained written records on clay tablets using cuneiform script adapted for their Semitic language, creating one of history's first comprehensive administrative systems documented in writing. Records documented military personnel, equipment inventories, agricultural production, tax collection, judicial proceedings, and movement of goods and people throughout Akkadian territories. This record-keeping enabled the government to maintain tight control over resources and personnel across the empire, tracking goods and people with unprecedented precision. The legal system was hierarchical, with local judges handling minor disputes while serious cases were referred to royal courts. The king served as ultimate judge and interpreter of law, ensuring consistent justice throughout the empire. This centralized legal system represented significant advancement in institutional governance compared to systems based on local custom and tradition. Part 5. Cultural synthesis and literary achievements. The Akkadian Empire created a remarkable cultural synthesis integrating Akkadian and Sumerian traditions into a unified cultural system, preserving best elements of both civilizations while creating something entirely new and distinctive. The Akkadians adopted Sumerian religious beliefs, artistic traditions, and technological innovations while maintaining their own cultural identity and contributing unique perspectives to broader Mesopotamian cultural heritage. The Akkadian language, fundamentally different from Sumerian in grammar and vocabulary, gradually became the administrative and diplomatic language under deliberate royal policy enforced throughout imperial territories. Sargon established Akkadian as the official language of government and royal correspondence, diminishing Sumerian linguistic influence while establishing a common imperial language transcending local and regional boundaries. This linguistic policy facilitated communication between regions and created imperial unity transcending local identity, making all subjects speak the imperial administrative language binding them together. Art and architecture reflected both continuity with Sumerian traditions and innovative Akkadian contributions, demonstrating the cultural achievements of imperial civilization. Akkadian sculptures and monuments demonstrated more naturalistic and dynamic styles compared to earlier Sumerian art, with royal figures depicted in commanding poses reflecting their power and authority. The stele of Sargon exemplifies confident and powerful artistic expression of Akkadian civilization and the imperial ideology promoting legitimate authority. The Akkadians made significant contributions to literature and intellectual culture, enriching the ancient world with new ideas and creative expressions. The Epic of Gilgamesh was recorded in Akkadian, ensuring survival through subsequent millennia and allowing influence on world literature to the present day. Part 6. Economic systems, trade networks, and prosperity. The Akkadian economy was remarkably diverse and well-organized, generating wealth through agriculture, manufacturing, and long-distance commerce, creating unprecedented prosperity and resource accumulation. Agriculture formed the economic foundation as fertile Mesopotamian plains produced abundant crops of barley, wheat, lentils, and other grains, sustaining populations and generating surplus production for trade and storage. The government maintained control over large agricultural estates and coordinated irrigation projects, maximizing production and ensuring reliable harvests throughout the region. Surplus production was collected as taxes and stored in state granaries, providing food security during lean years and creating strategic reserves for trade and military support. Beyond agriculture, Akkadians developed significant manufacturing and craft industries, producing goods in demand throughout the ancient world. Skilled craftsmen produced high-quality pottery, textiles, bronze tools, weapons, and decorative objects recognized for quality throughout the region and commanding premium prices. Akkadian merchants exported goods to neighboring regions, establishing trading relationships with distant peoples including Indus Valley civilizations and Mediterranean regions. The Euphrates River served as the primary trade highway, with merchants transporting goods connecting Mesopotamia with Persian Gulf, Arabian Peninsula, and distant maritime routes. Akkadian traders ventured beyond Mesopotamia, establishing relationships bringing exotic goods enriching royal courts and nobility. Precious stones, rare metals, exotic woods, and luxury goods flowed into Akkadian cities, enriching elites. Standardized systems of weights and measures with silver as unit of account facilitated trade and economic coordination across the empire. Part 7. Military technology, strategy, and dominance. The military innovations introduced by Sargon revolutionized ancient warfare and established principles persisting for centuries in subsequent military systems throughout the ancient world. The standing professional army of 5,000 soldiers was unprecedented and represented fundamental departure from earlier warfare systems based on conscription or feudal obligation. Previous forces were conscripted for campaigns then released, composed of militia with limited training, or organized on feudal principles providing warriors for limited periods. Sargon's army consisted of full-time professional soldiers receiving regular wages ensuring loyalty, regular training maintaining skills, and standardized equipment ensuring consistency. This professional approach proved dramatically more effective, enabling conquest of territories less organized forces could never overcome. The army was organized into specialized units including infantry for close combat, archery units for ranged attacks, and spear-wielding troops for shock tactics. Specialization allowed execution of complex maneuvers and tactics impossible for less organized forces. Soldiers were equipped with bronze weapons and armor, providing superior protection compared to stone and bone weapons of less advanced civilizations. Standardization ensured consistent equipment, facilitated manufacturing replacement weapons, and coordinated large units across different theaters. Akkadian military engineering advanced siege warfare techniques, enabling capture of fortified cities previously resistant to conquest. Battering rams, siege towers, coordinated assaults, and psychological warfare techniques overcame seemingly impregnable positions. The military hierarchy was strictly organized with the king as supreme commander and professional officers coordinating units into companies, battalions, and larger formations capable of executing complex maneuvers. Part 8. Religion, spirituality, and state ideology. Religion formed the spiritual and ideological foundation of the Akkadian Empire, with the king serving as chief priest and intermediary between divine and human realms, wielding both military and spiritual authority. The Akkadians adopted the Sumerian pantheon, including Enlil the sky god, Inanna the goddess of love and war, Shamash the sun god, and Enki the god of wisdom, integrating them into Akkadian practice. The Akkadians introduced their own deities, creating a syncretic religious system reflecting integration of both cultures, appealing to diverse subject populations. Sargon positioned himself as the chosen instrument of gods, claiming divine sanction for his rule and victories, establishing theological justification transcending military power alone. This theological justification of royal authority became standard Mesopotamian political ideology, with subsequent rulers claiming divine mandate for their rule. Major religious festivals punctuated the Akkadian calendar, with the New Year festival as the most important, celebrated with elaborate ceremonies and festivities throughout the empire. During festivals, the king participated in elaborate rituals renewing cosmic order, ensuring empire prosperity, and demonstrating his essential role in maintaining harmony. Temples served as centers of religious and intellectual life throughout Akkadian territories, with priests serving as scholars and keepers of knowledge, maintaining clay tablet libraries and training scribes. Temple complexes held vast stores of grain and valuables, making them economically important as well as spiritually significant centers of regional power. Part 9. Decline, Collapse, and the End of Empire. Despite apparent strength during Sargon's reign, internal contradictions and external pressures eventually undermined the empire's foundations, leading to relatively rapid collapse. The successors of Sargon continued military campaigns, attempting further expansion, achieving military successes but at considerable cost to resources and subject population patience. Naram-Sin achieved military victories and declared himself god, elevating monarchy status further and claiming divinity as authority source transcending human limitations. However, serious structural problems developed that would prove impossible to overcome given available resources and capabilities. Constant military campaigns required enormous expenditures, straining economic capacity and the patience of conquered peoples, resenting subjugation and heavy taxation. Subjugated Sumerian city-states retained cultural identity and desire for independence, occasionally erupting into open rebellion against Akkadian authority and centralized rule. Akkadian elite dominance created resentment and longing for Sumerian independence, simmering beneath surface until erupting in conflict. Around 2150 BCE, catastrophic events converged, bringing empire collapse. The Gudi from Zagros Mountains launched invasions, taking advantage of internal weaknesses and military overextension. Simultaneously, severe droughts and climate deterioration affected agricultural production, creating economic hardship, reducing government capacity to support military forces. The external invasion and internal collapse proved insurmountable given systemic vulnerabilities. Within short periods, centralized administration disintegrated and the empire fragmented into competing regional powers struggling for dominance. Part 10. Legacy and enduring historical influence. Although the Akkadian Empire's political existence proved relatively brief, its cultural, administrative, and intellectual legacy proved far more enduring and influential, extending into the distant future. The Akkadian language continued as the lingua franca for many centuries after the empire's political collapse, serving international diplomacy and commerce. Subsequent Mesopotamian civilizations, including Babylonians and Assyrians, adopted Akkadian administrative models, establishing centralized governments modeled on Akkadian precedents. Akkadian legal traditions influenced subsequent law codes, including the Code of Hammurabi incorporating Akkadian legal principles. Akkadian artistic traditions influenced subsequent cultures, with sculptural styles and architectural principles reflected in later peoples' works. The Akkadian Empire demonstrated that centralized imperial authority could govern vast diverse territories without descending into chaos. This insight became the foundation for subsequent imperial systems throughout history. The Akkadian example showed military innovation, efficient administration, and effective communication could overcome obstacles, creating unified structures. Akkadian principles of governance, military organization, economic management, and cultural synthesis became blueprints for future empire builders, remaining relevant for understanding complex societies. Conclusion. Historical significance and modern relevance. The Akkadian Empire represents a pivotal chapter marking fundamental transformation in political organization, imperial authority, and cultural synthesis, reverberating through history to the present. From its establishment under Sargon to collapse from external invasion and internal instability, the trajectory demonstrates both the remarkable potential for civilization to achieve unprecedented organization and the fragility of empires confronted with internal contradictions and overwhelming external pressures. The Akkadian achievement in creating the world's first great empire, establishing centralized administration across vast territories and innovating military organization, represents remarkable accomplishment influencing subsequent civilizations for millennia. Administrative models became templates for future empires, military innovations established professional military principles persisting to today, and cultural achievements enriched civilization with lasting contributions. Though the Akkadian Empire proved ephemeral in political terms, its influence extended far beyond political lifespan into subsequent history. Akkadian language, culture, and traditions integrated into subsequent civilizations with governance principles becoming foundations for later empires. The Akkadian Empire remains an enduring example of human ambition, organizational capability, and cultural achievement, demonstrating civilization's remarkable potential and the limits of power facing overwhelming historical forces. The Akkadian civilization represents a triumph of human capability and testament to what organized people under capable leadership can achieve, with influence persisting long after the empire's fall.